Hi, my name is Dr. Itazaz, and today we will discuss about digestive system in humans. Digestive system, the function of this system is to digest food. And what is mean by digestion? Digestion means to convert complex food substances into simple, smaller and diffusible particles. Diffusible particles. The food we eat in daily life contains three principal components which have to be digested to be absorbed. Actually, here the diffusible means absorbable particles that can be absorbed from this system into the blood and can be distributed in all our body. Okay. And the complex substances present in our food which have to be digested are carbohydrates, proteins and lipids. The carbohydrates present in our food is majorly starch, and our digestive system converts this starch into glucose, which is a simple diffusible particles and can be absorbed from the digestive system into the blood, and our body can utilize this glucose. Protein is a large particle which cannot be absorbed, so it converts into amino acids by the digestive system, so it can be absorbed into our body. And the lipids converts into fatty acids and glycerol. Fatty acids plus glycerol by the digestive system. So digestive system is a system in the humans which actually do digestion, and the digestion means converts complex substances into the simpler diffusible particles that can be absorbed from this system into the blood, and the blood then distribute all these particles in all over the body. The principal components present in the food are three. One is carbohydrates, proteins, and the third is lipids. So carbohydrates is present in the form of starch because we get carbohydrates from the plants in the form of bread, and the plants store their carbohydrates in the form of starch. So the major source of carbohydrates for the living organisms is starch. Our digestive system converts this complex starch into the simpler carbohydrates called glucose. And proteins, which is a complex, meat is a protein which converts into the amino acids, and lipids converts into fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, this is the system of digestive system. Next, actually digestive system is an organ system. If we talk about living organisms, they are composed of many different organ system. Actually, how the organ system is formed? To understand this, we must know what is level of organization. Level of organization means how the living organisms is composed from the simple substances like atoms, and how the atoms combines together, they form cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, and ultimately individual. This explanation of the sequence is given by the level of organization. Here is the picture. We start the level of organization from the atom. There are different type of atom like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. When these different atoms combine, they form molecules like water, which is composed of two hydrogen atom and one oxygen. Similarly, different atoms combines to form DNA. This is also a molecule. These molecules are combined together to form organelles like mitochondria, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus. These are different types of organelles, or they are also called subcellular substances. These subcellular substances organized in a well manner to form a cell, and cell is the unit of life. It is a unit of life. So, similar cells having similar functions, performing similar functions, they live together to perform the function more efficiently. They form our tissue. Like nerve cell, when they combine together, they form nervous tissue. Okay, remember this, similar cells performing similar function, they organize together to form a tissue. Like muscle cells combine, they form muscular tissue. Similarly, hepatic cells, when they combine, hepatic cells when they combine together, they form liver. So when different tissue, the next level is organ. So how the organ is composed of? Organ is composed of different tissue, but they have related function. The tissues are different, but their functions relate with each other. They form organ. Like stomach is an example of organ. Stomach contains two types of tissue. One is epithelial tissue, which secrete gastric juice, and other is muscular tissue, which helps in the mixing of the food with the gastric juice. So epithelial tissue and the muscular tissue, these two different tissue combine to form a single organ stomach. But if you look at them, epithelial tissue secrete gastric juice, which actually digests the food, and the muscular tissue helps in mixing of gastric juice with the food. So these both tissue have related function. They both do digestion, but in a different manner, in a different way. This is where the organ is formed. Likewise, different organs combine to form organ system, like digestive system, respiratory system, excretory system, reproductive system, cardiovascular system, nervous system. There are so many systems in our body. And how the organ system is produced? They actually consist of different type of organs, but the function of these organs are relatable. They are related with each other. And when different organ systems combine together, they form organism. This is called level of organization. So our topic is only digestive system. I tell you about level of organization so you can get, when we start the organ system, we will consider different organs and the sequence of organs. First, when the food is taken, where it goes, and which organ perform which type of digestion. Okay, we are moving to our main topic, that is digestive system. Okay, actually digestive system is consists of two parts. One is gastrointestinal tract and other one is accessory glands. Now, what is gastrointestinal tract? It is actually a tract. Tract means it is like a tube, and tube has two openings. One is upper opening and one is lower opening. The upper opening is called mouth and the lower opening is called anus. Mouth is an opening from where we take in food, and taking in food is called ingestion. So actually ingestion of food occurs through the mouth. And when the food passes through whole of the tract, which contains different organs like oral cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and anus, when the food passes, it is digested and is absorbed into the blood, but not all the food we take in is digested and absorbed. Some of the foods remain in the undigested food and it is waste for our body. It is removed from our body through the anus. So actually our digestive system is like a tube, and this whole tube which runs from the mouth to the anus is called gastrointestinal tract. And gastrointestinal tract contains different organs. First is the oral cavity. Actually mouth opens into the oral cavity, and the oral cavity moves the food from mouth to the esophagus. From the esophagus the food moves into the stomach, and from the stomach food moves into the small intestine. In small intestine absorption of the digested food occurs, and then food moves into large intestine where the undigested material is stored for some time and then it is rejected through the anus. Now we will come through accessory glands. Accessory glands are these these are the glands which help in the digestion of the food. They form different secretions which contains enzymes and helps in the digestion of food. So they are also involved in the digestive system. And these accessory glands are salivary glands, which is present in the oral cavity, pancreas, which is present below the stomach, and liver, which is present below the diaphragm. So this is the whole digestive system. I will repeat it. Digestive system actually consists of two parts. One is gastrointestinal tract and other one is accessory gland. Gastrointestinal tract is like a tube having two openings. One is mouth and other one is anus. Mouth opens into a cavity which is called oral cavity. Oral cavity is bounded by teeth, tongue, palate, lips, and here we actually masticate the food, lubricate the food and partially digest the food. When the food is partially digested and masticated means we take a large particle of food and our teeth break them into small particles, so it can easily engulf into the esophagus, it can easily pass into the esophagus. So oral cavity, the food moves from the oral cavity into the esophagus, which take food into the stomach, and stomach take into small intestine, and small intestine take into large intestine, and large intestine stores unwasted material and it is rejected through the anus. And there are several glands which help in the digestion of food by forming different secretions, and these are liver, pancreas and salivary glands. So this is a representation of our digestive system. Here is mouth from where food is taken, and this cavity which is bounded by teeth, lips, tongue and cheeks is called oral cavity. Here the food moves from oral cavity into the esophagus, which takes the food from oral cavity to the stomach. Stomach digests the food, partially digests the food, we will consider next. Then it passes the food into the small intestine. This is a small intestine. This whole part is a small intestine. And small intestine completely digests the food, and after digestion it also absorbs the food, and food go into the blood vessels. It is absorbed into the blood vessels. But the food that is absorbed goes into the blood, but the food that is not absorbed goes into large intestine. And this is the first part of large intestine, which is called cecum. Then from large intestine the food goes and store in the rectum, which is also a part of large intestine. And when there is needed and when the rectum is full, we have a reflex which is called defecation reflex, and we remove the food from the rectum through the anus outside the body. This is how our digestive system works. This is another picture. There is a mouth which opens into the oral cavity. From oral cavity food goes into esophagus, then stomach then moves into small intestine, then large intestine, stored in the rectum and is defecated through the anus. And here is the liver. Liver is an accessory gland which helps in the digestion of food. One is liver, and here lies pancreas in the yellow color. This is pancreas, which also helps in the digestion of food. And here are salivary glands. Actually salivary glands are of three types. One is submaxillary gland, also called submandibular gland, present here, and parotid gland present just in front of ears, parotid gland, and one gland is present just below the tongue, which is called sublingual gland. So these glands are the salivary glands which form saliva, and saliva helps in the digestion of food. Okay, This is esophagus, stomach. Actually, the small intestine consists of three parts. Small intestine consists of three parts. One is duodenum, other one is jejunum, and the last one is ileum. Now, the part of the small intestine which start just after the stomach, this part, this is called duodenum, and this is the smallest part of the small intestine. Then this pinkish color shows the jejunum, and this grey color shows the ileum. And after ileum, the large intestine is start. And the absorption of food actually occurs here in the ileum. Ileum is the part of the small intestine where the absorption of the food occur. Where the absorption of food actually occur. So next, large intestine. Large intestine also consists of different parts. Here is the ileum which opens into the large intestine, and the first part of the large intestine, sorry, it is mistakenly labeled. The first part of the large intestine is cecum, and from cecum a finger-like structure arises which is called appendix. Actually, there is no non-function in our body of appendix. Appendix is rudimentary, it has no function in our body, and when the food gets trapped into this, it becomes painful and swell. Inflammation of the appendix occur, and it has to be surgically removed. So it has no function in the digestion of food. The food from the ileum after the digestion, and the food which contains large amount of water, salts and undigested material, they pass into the cecum, and from cecum it passed into colon. This all part is called colon. And colon consists of three parts, actually four parts. One is the ascending colon because it ascends. This is called ascending colons. This is called transverse colons due to its position, and this is called descending colon. And then the last part of the colon is the sigmoid clone. Sigmoid clone stores the undigested material in the rectum. This is the rectum, and from rectum the food is stored, and when it becomes filled with undigested material, it is rejected through the anus. This is large intestine, and the position of the digestive system in our body is like this: mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine present here, and then large intestine, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, and this is anus. This is all about our digestive system. Now there are different glands. I tell you about salivary glands, liver, and the pancreas. This is liver, which is present just below the diaphragm. Here is diaphragm, and diaphragm below the diaphragm there is liver. Actually, liver form bile. Liver form bile, which is stored in the gallbladder. Gallbladder, and the bile contains substances for the digestion of fats. It actually emulsifies the fat. We will consider it in the physiology of the digestion. I am actually giving the overview of the digestive system. So we will explain it, the component of the bile which actually emulsify the fat, and what is emulsifications and how the fat is digested. We will consider it in the next lecture. Okay, liver actually form bile which is stored in the gallbladder, and after when it is needed, it is carried by a bile duct. Here is the bile duct which carries the bile into the duodenum, and you know duodenum is a part of small intestine. Like here, it is a duodenum. This is a duodenum, and this is gallbladder. Gallbladder carries the bile into the duodenum by the bile duct. This is called common bile duct. Okay, similarly pancreas. There are different parts of pancreas like head, body, and tail, and it forms pancreatic juice. Pancreas produce pancreatic juice which helps in the digestion of food. And pancreatic juice contains all the three principal enzymes: protease, which digest proteins, amylase, which digest carbohydrates, and it also contains lipase, which digest lipids. But lipase cannot act on the fat. It is first emulsified by the bile, then lipase act on the fat and digest it into the fatty acids and glycerol. So the pancreatic juice is stored in the pancreatic duct. This is the pancreatic duct. And pancreatic duct and the common bile duct are combined together to form a common duct which opens into the duodenum at the duodenal papilla. Okay. Now the secretion of the liver and the pancreas are released into the duodenum, and when the food enters from the stomach into the duodenum, it is digested by this pancreatic juice and the bile. This is all about our digestive system. Thank you so much, and in the next lecture we will consider about physiology, how these different organs help in the digestion of food. What is the function of oral cavity and what is the function of esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus, we will consider in the next lecture. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.